Federal Drive is presented by GEHA, Government Employees Health Association, proudly providing health and dental benefits to federal employees and their families. Visit GEHA.com.
The Forest Service is offering separation incentives to employees ahead of an agency reorganization that will move hundreds of positions across the country. The Forest Service told employees in a recent email that it will offer Voluntary Early Retirement Authority, or VERA, and Voluntary Separation Incentive Payments, VSIP, to employees impacted by the agency's upcoming reorganization. The Agriculture Department announced in March that the Forest Service would move its headquarters to Salt Lake City, Utah. Federal News Network's Jory Heckman is here with more details. Jory, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Terry. Great to be here.
I feel like we've tackled this story in bits and pieces, but step back and put it all together for us. What changes are happening to the Forest Service?
Yeah, so you mentioned the headquarters move. That's the one that's gotten the most attention here, but there are a couple of other pieces going on here. The Forest Service is also looking to shutter its 9 regional offices, and so far only has plans to keep 20 of its 77 research facilities. The status of those remaining 50-plus facilities is unclear at this point. And one other thing is that the Forest Service is also looking to merge its wildland firefighting capabilities with the Interior Department and have those all exist in one single agency. So those are all the different components, but they will be rolling out in different phases.
There's a lot of moving pieces there, but let's talk then about the moving pieces. What about employees who don't want to relocate? Are they being offered any incentives here?
Yeah, so like you said in the lead here, Terry, they are being offered one of 2 incentives here, early retirements or buyouts that can be worth up to $25,000. That's the federal cap right now. And what's being said to employees, those who are eligible, this isn't eligible to everyone exactly, people who are on the hook for these potential relocations. What's being described here from the Forest Service chief is that there is a position for everyone at the Forest Service, but they may not be where that position currently is now. And so understanding that may be a hardship for people who are mid-career or senior career employees, giving them an opportunity to part ways with the agency on amicable terms here, rather than facing the hardship of uprooting yourself and your family to move to an entirely new state across the country.
Is this decision a done deal, or are there parts of it that might yet be revisited, so it's too early for people to make those formal or final decisions?
That's an interesting question. I think you could couch that in the it depends bucket for a couple of things here. Congress, of course, controls the power of the purse, can decide what these agencies can and can't spend the money on. However, Chief Schultz has told members of Congress in committee hearings that he's of the opinion, and USDA leadership is of the opinion, that this secretary, the Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins, has the authority to carry out these reorganizations as she feels is necessary to best serve the agency. So there's that piece of things. They seem to be going ahead with the relocations with or without Congress's blessing. But there is, on the wildland firefighting part of things, they are looking for Congress's input on that. Just to give you a bit of a recap, for the fiscal 2026 spending bill, lawmakers didn't go ahead with this Interior USDA wildland fire merging proposal. They said, we think we need more outside research on this. So they required the parties involved to commission a third-party study to see whether there are pros and cons to this plan and whether the pros outweigh the cons. So the Forest Service is actually on the street right now looking for vendors to carry out that research proposal. And so once the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, they expect to spend about 6 months doing that research. And so that brings us to around November when they would have that research paper available to all parties involved, including Congress. And so Schultz said that Congress should be able to have an opportunity to read that and offer up their thoughts before proceeding with a fiscal 2027 spending deal.
The timing on that is curious since we're kind of entering wildland fire season right now. Are they saying that they need to hold on the moves related to the firefighting services until they get that study in November?
Correct. Yeah, the Forest Service has been really adamant that no changes to wildland firefighting, any of the wildland firefighters or the employees who carry red cards, meaning that they aren't day-to-day firefighters. That's not their day-to-day job description, but they have other roles at the Forest Service, but can be tapped to be wildland firefighters in emergencies. None of those employees are going to be asked to do anything. As far as relocations, I think they're broadly out of that bucket of reorganizations. The people who are being asked to move are, more of an administrative function. They are headquarters employees for the case of the Salt Lake City move. So wildland fire, no one's being asked to move anywhere. They're relatively untouched. What they're being asked to do is really more of a restructuring of the org chart than anything else.
And Jory, what would the timeline be for the other parts of this reorganization and relocation? Is it imminent, or do people have months, or is this a multi-year process that's going to unfold?
I think we'll learn more by the end of this calendar year of where things lie. Of course, this is part of a much broader USDA reorganization where USDA, for example, is moving about half of its headquarters employees to 5 hubs across the country, really shrinking its presence in the Beltway area. And that's going to be a really big reimagining of their footprint as well. So generally speaking, all signs point to the end of this calendar year as to what those next steps look like, whether Congress is on board or not. So stay tuned.
It's Federal News Network's Jory Heckman. Jory, thanks for bringing us this story.
Thanks, Terry.
You can find his full story at federalnewsnetwork.com.